Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling and the latest podcast. I am your host, JP John Paz. With me, of course, is the former WWF head writer, the former WCW head writer, the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, what's going on? How you doing?
What is going on, John? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I know last week or last time we talked, we were talking about 1997. We were doing a Q&A on that. We will be talking about 1998 as well, but I wanted to finish up 1997 first. Got a lot of good stuff here. A very interesting start. So here's the first question. If Bret Hart had his way, he wanted to drop the WWF title to Ken Shamrock. Would you have agreed with that decision, or would you want him to drop it to someone else?
I never heard that, so I don't
Really?
know.
Okay.
I don't know who that's coming from, or I never ever heard that. That was never brought up. That was never discussed. If Brett did indeed suggest that to Vince, that was never relayed to me. So I don't know anything about that. So if it was relayed to Vince and Vince didn't want to do it, that's why it was never relayed to me. And I always know, man, with it was always murky with Shamrock and Ultimate Fighting and all that contract stuff. And that was the issue with Shamrock, man. It wasn't. He was such a great talent. He was so believable, man. I would have pushed him to the moon, but there were always whatever they were dealing with his fighting contracts and whatnot. That was always the stumbling block. So I know nothing about Brett saying he wanted to drop the belt to Shamrock.
For you, Shawn Michaels was who he was should or wanted to be dropped to. There wasn't like somebody else like, oh, this guy should be champion. It should have been
Yeah, no, I
Shawn
mean,
Michaels next.
yeah, man, because storyline is storyline, John, and sometimes you have to change storyline, but you always want to try to stay with the A story, man. Sometimes, like I said, you have to get off of it, but you don't want to get off of it if you don't have to.
What would you have done with Bret Hart if he stayed in the Attitude Era? If he never went to WWE, stayed? Seemed like there was a lot of meat on the bone for him and Steve Austin still, even though they had that feud in 97. Seems like there was a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah, man, there would have been there would have been so much more to do. I mean, my God, bro, if after the punch heard around the world, Brett was still with the company, I can't even imagine the freaking possibilities in what we would have done, man. It would to be able to work through something like that would have been unbelievable.
When Vince does that Attitude Era speech, right? No more black and white and shades of gray. What did you think about that? And did you write that, or is that him on his
Bro,
own off the
no,
cuff?
him on his own bullshit, bro. That was one. I did not write that for him, but everything he said was 1000% every conversation I ever had with him about what needed to change. I mean, 1000%. So I did not write it for him. I'm not going to say I did. I didn't. But that was every conversation we had as we were crafting the Attitude Era.
His voice in that is so like sarcastic. He's like, and there's good guys and there's
Yeah.
bad guys. He was so like, I don't know, used
Yeah.
car salesman for that
Yeah,
one.
I think I smartened him up of how freaking ridiculous and stupid, things were starting to become, maybe.
And when he does that, obviously you know that he's what he's going to say. You just don't know his exact verbiage
Right.
of how he's
Yeah,
going to say
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So what do you remember about how that came out? Like when Vince did that, it was everybody on board. This is great. Everything's because it seems like that was almost like the beginning of you guys turning the corner, not only creatively but ratings wise. It just seemed like that was helping you guys. Not necessarily his speech, but that direction.
Yeah, no, bro, everybody I would say everybody was skeptical at the beginning, but bro, back then all that mattered was, is this going to make me money? If the boys were making money and it was paying dividends, they didn't care less what direction we were going in. So I would say, John, very skeptical at the beginning, but once it started proving itself and they started making more and more money, everybody was on board.
Did you want Vince to make some sort of speech like that, or did he want to make some sort of speech like that? Like, how did that even come about? Just him, just even doing it in general.
Yeah, no, I think we discussed that he needed to say something because people were going to start seeing a drastic change.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you think of the new Scratch logo? Obviously they changed it. And it was all
Yeah. No, I
literally
thought it was
Scratch.
cool. I still think that's a cool logo. I thought that was a really cool logo.
No, well, not. I'm trying to think how to say it, but like if there's a new era, quote unquote, you need a new logo, right? You got to, and it has to match what direction you're going to and how it's going to look.
Yes, I would agree to that. Yes.
Why did Vince McMahon stop doing commentary?
Well, I mean, I don't think he could have done commentary when he was an on-air character, bro. I think it would have, yeah, he couldn't have done both, and his value was as the Mr. McMahon character. I mean, nobody could replace that. I mean, he was the number one heel.
Yep.
You can get people to announce, but that role was much, much more important than him announcing.
You can't waste the number one heel on commentary, right?
No,
You
hell
can't.
no.
What did you think about him as a commentator? I know you're an old school WWF guy, but what did you think about him as a commentator in general?
Oh, he was great, man. He was great getting the story over, getting the characters over. He was great, man. He was absolutely great on commentary.
Here's an interesting one, and I kind of don't remember if we ever discussed this or not. But how did you become the head writer? Like, how did that conversation go, or was that a conversation like, "Hey, you're now the head writer, pal"? Like, how did that actually happen when you become the lead
Yeah,
the
I
lead
don't
writer?
I don't think that was ever said, John. I don't think it was ever said at all. But I think when he took Cornette out of the equation, it was me and him. Like, that's it. Like, there was no one else. Like, I was the only writer. I mean, when Vince was doing his day-to-day in the office, I was the only writer writing the television. So I think, like I said, man, it started with me, Vince, and Cornette. As soon as Cornette was eliminated, there was nobody else that could have been the head writer but me. I mean, it was just the two of us.
It wasn't like, "Hey, pal, here's your promotion. This is a huge deal.
No,
Here's your promotion. You're the head
no,
writer. Here's
not
here's
at
your
all.
pay."
Not at
Nothing. Not
all.
even a
Not at
up
all.
in
Nah.
pay.
That stuff's not important, bro. I swear to you, John, there was so much work that needed to be done. I don't care about titles and bro, I'm sure, John, there probably was some kind of a bump salary wise, probably. But yeah, no, it was no bells and whistles and pyro and ballet. It was nothing like that, man.
Did you think you were ready for it? Because all of a sudden it's just you and Vince. Were you ready?
Oh God, yeah, bro. No, the way the way they were thinking in the wrestling bubble was so elementary, like no, without a shadow of a doubt, bro.
How did you feel after you're writing your first Raw, like kind of by yourself? I guess technically it would be December 15th, 97, where I know you were on the committee before and you're writing, but really by yourself was basically December 15th, 97. How'd you feel about writing the first episode? Pressure? Was there anything that you did differently, or it was just par for the course?
Yeah, John, you don't even think about that, man. I'm just telling you, with a show to write every week, and then the pay-per-view, and then Sunday night heats, whatever we're doing, bro, you don't even think about stuff like that, man. You don't even think about it. You just got to keep going on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. You don't even think about stuff like that.
Here's a guy we've never talked about, or I don't remember talking about him too much, but how was working with Rick Rude, and did you like Rick Rude?
Yeah, I mean, bro, I didn't get to work with him that much. I wish I would have. I wish I would have gotten to work more with him. I thought he was great. I mean, I was always a huge, Rick Rude mark. And, one day he was there and the next day he was gone. I did not get to work with him that much.
If Rick Rude didn't leave the WWF for WCW, would you have kept him in Degeneration X? Would he have helped out X Pac and the Outlaws, etc., with the new Degeneration X
Bro,
as you guys added
think,
members?
think about this. Could you imagine, because he had never, ever done it throughout his entire career, could you imagine if you would have spun him out of that as a babyface? That would have really, really, really been interesting. Really been interesting.
So interesting with him. Obviously, the Lloyds of London thing played a huge
Mhm.
role in why he didn't really continue to wrestle. I know he broke his neck at one point, but he was in such good shape, he probably could have came back and wrestled.
Yeah, I would think so. I would definitely think so. And man, again, bro, the possibilities. Brett would have hung around. He didn't leave. Oh
Yep.
my God, the possibilities were endless.
You were not a fan of the light heavyweight divisions. We know that. We've talked about that. Could you
Yeah.
have made that work with character traits and storylines for talent, or were you not even going to bother with those guys?
No, I was trying, bro. I was definitely trying. I think back then, bro, like a lot of it had to do with there were so many big guys that back then the smaller guys just weren't over. I mean, they just weren't over. I tried, bro. Brian Christopher had a unbelievable personality and character. He was phenomenal. I tried to storyline Taka Michinoko with Layfield. Nah, bro. I definitely tried. I think because you had so many larger than life superstars. I just don't think they were into the smaller guys back then. Yeah, bro, they were into the smaller guys at Nitro and WCW, but like they were luchas. It's totally different.
What did you think of Jeff Jarrett in the Aztec Warrior gear that when he came back, he was repackaged in? Did you like his gear, or
I never
that's
got
all those
that.
guys?
I never ever understood that. I'm assuming, bro, because I know his late wife Jill used to make all his gear. I'm assuming Jill made that. And when you look at it, bro, it really is the double J. It's the JJ, but I never really understood that look for him.
At the end of 1997, what did you think of the WWF product in general? You're taking the helm writing. What did you think about the product at this point?
It definitely getting put on the right course. That's the thing that people don't understand, bro. WCW didn't understand this. Bro, it takes time because you've got to undo all the mistakes. You got to wipe away, you got to tear down the old building, then you got to start rebuilding brick by brick by brick by brick. Bro, me working with Rocky Mountain Pro now, it's the same exact thing. It's a process, bro. It does not happen overnight. So we were definitely on the right track.
Let's get into 1998 as we move forward here. The Rock and his dad, Rocky Johnson, had a feel good moment at WrestleMania 13 when he came in to help him to fight off the Sultan, Bob Backlund, and the Iron Sheik. Now, this is very interesting because we're going into 98 here, but we still have a question here from 97. So I think when he sent in this question, I think he's trying to bring the parallel. But do you think Rocky Johnson could have been his manager going forward, and could it have helped Rocky's character? Remember, because right after that, he was getting booed out of the building. Rocky sucked. You think Rocky Johnson could have helped him?
Yeah, I don't think so, man. And I'm glad we didn't do that because if we did that, it's possible Rock would have never come into his own. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that it happened the way it did and that Rock was able to develop and really get over on the mic. So I'm glad we didn't do that.
Did you like Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas, the
Oh
Soul
yeah.
Patrol back then? Remember the Soul Patrol?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I remember all those tag teams back then, the Bulldogs and the Valiant Brothers. And God, I can remember Tony Greer and Dean Ho. Yeah, I love all that stuff.
We are going to stick to a little bit of 97 here. It threw me off here on my questions here. But what's your favorite Iron Sheik story? Do you have a favorite Sheiky baby story?
God, not really, bro. I just always, man, when somebody brings him up to me, the vision that always comes to mind is just him doing those kettlebells in the back, man. Like that was to actually see that what a strong, powerful man, bro. It was really unbelievable to see. That always comes to mind every time. I mean, I know he was crazy and later on in Stern and all that stuff, but I always think about just witnessing him in the back doing those things. And I used to just be in awe because I knew, man, God, bro, that takes a great athlete to be able to do that.
What did you think of the Bret Hart versus Steve Austin double turn at WrestleMania 13? Obviously, Austin's going to go baby and Bret's going to go heel.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good, bro. And I mean, those two, God, it was. I don't even know, John, if people would be able to do that today. I don't even know if they would understand it. I mean, that really has to be crafted on both sides. And man, those guys together did an unbelievable job. And like I said, it's stuff like that, man. I just don't think I don't think you're ever going to see repeated because wrestlers today have a completely different mindset, man. I don't even think they would forget about know how to do it. I don't even think they would understand it.
Man, it shows you how good Bret is. He
Yep.
can come in as a babyface, leave as a heel, and leave Austin as the most popular guy in the business. Like, oof.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yep.
Do you like double turns in general, or could it be a creative nuisance? Do you like them when
No, I
they
mean, I,
turn?
I I like them when it calls for it and it'll work. But yeah, I don't like anything, bro, that's not believable. So if it's believable, yeah, I like it.
You've mentioned to me before, and I think the last week when we were talking, you were saying Sid and Undertaker, not the type of guys that necessarily need to be champion. They're draws on their own. You know, they're great on their own. Do you think then that maybe Bret versus Steve Austin should have or could have been for the world title at WrestleMania 13 instead, considering Undertaker Sid is the title match? Would you have kind of changed it around or no?
I don't think I would have changed it around because I think we were getting there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think, I think Undertaker Sid worked, and then we had Bret and Austin in our back pockets. So I would have left it the way it was.
Might have asked you this before. I know, obviously, Steve Austin, "Blood from a Stone," that whole thing. They made millions of dollars off that T-shirt and hit just the Austin 316, everything. But the blood was something that's really sold the match. Do you think that without the blood, the match is as good? And do you like blood in general, just for wrestling?
I don't think it would have been just as good. I mean, that was a perfect spot to use blood. Um, Bro, I gotta say one thing I do hate, and people can call me whatever they want. I could care less. I hate seeing women bleed. That I cannot take. That is
Gross.
very, very
Yeah.
hard and difficult for me. I don't mind blood, bro, when it's called for, when it's in the right spot. I do mind blood when it's just blood for the sake of being blood.
So Shawn Michaels at one point is double champion. He's world champion. He's European champion. What do you think of the not only double champions? I know you've done it before in booking with Jeff Jarrett and different guys like that, but what do you think about Michaels? Did he need both belts? Did he need to be
No,
European
no,
champion, world
he
champion?
probably wasn't European champion for long, was he?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no,
Not very
he
long at all, no.
nah, that was just kind of a transition type thing.
Disco Inferno, your
Mm.
old, close personal friend there, said on Talk is Jericho, obviously a while back, he was supposed to be the Honky Tonk Man's protege before they went with Rockabilly Billy Gunn. You even had a WWF Magazine article about it with a silhouette of a disco guy. Do you think he could have been good in that role as
Oh, it
Honky
would have
Tonk
been
Man's
great,
protege?
bro, and it was, this is the typical wrestling bullshit that I'm talking about, right?
Hmm.
Because I was a huge mark for Disco. I did not know him personally at all at that time. I just knew he was entertaining as hell on television. His contract was up, and I'm like, man, let's get this guy and bring him in over here. So, I believe Bruce was talent relations at the time, so Bruce had a phone call with him, and of course, what it came down to was Bruce didn't like the way Glenn answered some of his questions. So what does that mean? That means that Vince wanted to bring him in, so I'm going to do and say everything I possibly can to not bring him in. It was such freaking horseshit and bullshit and typical wrestling crap. And that's why he never got in. I'm not going to sit there and argue with Bruce. I know what he's doing. I know the game. And that's why Disco never wound up in the WWF.
Damn. He would have been good too with Honky Tonk Man because he paralleled a lot of his career off Honky. Like he kind of studied Honky. That was a lot of his game.
He would have been tremendous. And then again, bro, you could have turned Honky Tonk Man babyface out of that. It would have been freaking great. But that's the old, oh, I'm gonna stick it up Vince's ass, and whatever, bro. That was a missed opportunity to not bring him in.
How about him as Disco Inferno in WWF? Would that have worked or no? Like,
That would
could you do that?
that would have worked, but we would. I'm sure we would have had changed the name and everything. I don't think Disco owns that. I don't know, but yeah, no, that definitely would have worked.
And Vince likes to own his own characters, right? So
Yeah,
he would have been like,
yeah,
I'm going to make you, whatever I'm going to make you.
Rockabilly. Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that was I hated that, man. Rockabilly. Ugh,
How lame was that?
terrible, man. That's Vince, man. That's all Vince, man. That I hated that.
Stuck in the past there with that one. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Like he's like a old, like you could tell, like an old man booked this one.
yeah, yeah. I hated it.
Was there anybody in the WWF that you thought could have been paired with Honky Tonk Man outside of obviously Rockabilly? Do you think anybody else could have been paired with Honky?
God, man. Well, obviously, Disco was my choice. God, outside of that, bro, nobody really comes to mind.
With Honky Tonk Man, the gimmick was the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Do you think that he was the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? If not, who is?
Wow, man, there's been so many really great intercontinental champions. God, I'm just trying to think of who had a great intercontinental championship run. God, Savage had a good one before he
Mm-hmm.
became heavyweight champion.
Yep.
I would say Savage.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Not Gunther. I'm surprised he broke Honky Tonk Man's record. Not going Gunther. Okay.
Bro, listen, I tell you this all the time, John. I will never get this out of my head. Randy Savage would not have lost the match to Sami Zayn. Okay, so
Right.
I'm sorry, bro.
Right.
Like work, not work, shoot, not shoot. You lost to Sami Zayn, and I can't get that out of my head.
Fair enough. What was the deal with Jesse James being the real Double J? It made no sense with Jeff Jarrett not being around anymore.
Well, it did make sense because they were trying to stick it up Jeff's ass. That's exactly
That's it.
That's
Plain
it.
and simple.
Jeff left. I think he went to WCW. Held Vince up for money, so they were just completely trying to stick it up his ass with the real Double J. It was like the billionaire Ted skits. It was just like that.
Wow, lame. What do you think about the Road Dogg as far as a top-notch singles wrestler? Could he have been a
He's
top-notch
great,
singles
bro.
wrestler?
Bro, you can even go back before the Road Dogg to the Roadie, man. I was so entertained by him as the Roadie, which was like really a non-speaking role. Bro, that dude's got charisma out the ass, man. Out the ass. To this day, man. To this day, he does.
What did you think of Jerry the King Lawler as a performer?
Well, bro, obviously I never got to see Jerry in his prime at USWA. I didn't get to see much of that, but I loved him, man. He was a great heel. He knew what he was doing. He was a pro's pro, man. Like I said, I never really got to see a young Jerry Lawler, the King of Memphis. I wish I would have. I got to see some of the Kaufman stuff, but I thought it was great, man. I thought Jerry Lawler was great at whatever he did.
What do you think about some of his promos? Obviously, they were very offensive to the people nowadays, would be. They probably wouldn't fly nowadays. Do you think that type of stuff, like looking back, did you like it? Was it too much, or is that just somebody nowadays that would really complain about crap like that?
That's somebody nowadays that would really complain about crap like that. Lawler, bro, he knew what he was doing. I mean, this is back in the day, bro, when it's all about putting asses in seats. And Lawler was not a big guy. He was a regular sized guy that could put asses in seats. So I would have let Jerry do whatever Jerry wanted to do.
What was your view on Farooq Assad,
Ugh,
the gladiator gimmick?
terrible, bro. Come on, man. Farooq with the helmet and Sonny and please, horrible shit.
When they switch it, obviously, to the nation, I mean that just is a million times better. I mean, that's something that
a million times better, but still, like I wouldn't have minded Ron Simmons, man. Like Ron Simmons would have been great, but again, bro, you just look at the Rockabillys and the Farooqs and the just so many things like that oh my God, they were just so stuck in the past, man.
Do you think if you get rid of the cartooniness and the bright colors and like a Farouk, but if you do a gladiator gimmick with someone, do you think that could actually work?
With the right person, yeah, yeah, with the right person. I mean, that's what I think that's originally what Nick Aldis was supposed to be at TNA originally with the name Magnus. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's originally what he was supposed to be. So yeah, I mean, it could work if written properly.
As far as the Nation of Domination, the original Nation we were talking about, you didn't really like it because it was, I don't know, it was PG-13, Crush, Savio, Clarence Mason. Like it's just a weird group. You didn't like the original Nation, right? When
No,
it first came.
yeah, no, it's got to make sense, man. Stuff's got to make sense to me. Putting those people together just for the sake because they didn't know what to do with them, bro. That's why Rock was put in the Nation. Let's be honest. They didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
I remember, when I think at that time I was, writing with Bruce and whatnot, and the idea came to just put him in the Nation. They didn't know what to do with him. That's what they do with people that they don't know what to do with, man. They just put them all together.
What do you think makes a great faction? What do you think is like the key elements?
There's got to be a reason why they're together. There has to be, their personalities have to mesh, their goals have to mesh, their purpose has to mesh. There has to be a reason why they're all together. Think about main event mafia. Why they all together? They're all main eventers. They all have a lot of money. They have to have something in common that would bring them together.
Farouk, as far as the Nation of Domination storyline, was a lot of racism talk, and they're holding him down and things like that. Did you like that, or you think that's a little too controversial, just as far as Farouk and what he was doing and what he was saying with the Nation?
I don't think that's too controversial at all, bro, because I mean, I've learned through doing a show with Stevie Ray for many, 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 many years, bro. That's how a lot of black people really feel. I mean, go all the way back to their ancestors and what their families had to endure, and that's how a lot of black people really, really feel. So to let the guy go out there and speak his mind, man, I don't have a problem with that.
Did you experience any of that, or did he experience that from the actual management at WWF at that point, or is this just storyline?
I don't think so, bro. I don't think anybody's gonna mess with Ron Simmons, man. That would be the wrong guy to mess with.
How about you? You're an Italian from New York. Right? Did they ever mess with you at the
Oh
office?
no, bro. Being a New Yorker, that definitely was a problem and an issue for me. Definitely, 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 because people they want to paint a picture of New Yorkers in their minds, and that's what they want to believe, and they never want to get over it. That was a big, big problem for me throughout my career. From working with people like Jim Cornette, then going to TNA, then going to WCW, where I'm in Atlanta. The same with going to TNA. That's in the South, in Nashville. It was a huge issue, bro. It was a big issue.
With Farouk, right, and him saying a lot of that real stuff, do you like the realism? Is that more your style? Like if the guy is just being raw and
I love
real
it.
and
I love
natural?
it, man, because I can bite into it and I can believe it. Because if it's real to them, it's going to come across real on TV, man. That's the best television you can write.
Do you think Ahmed Johnson should have been WWF World Champion?
Yeah, he could have been, bro, but he just had so much heat, man. With the boys, and he would open his mouth when he shouldn't open his mouth, and Ahmed created his own problems, man. If he would have, I don't want to say if he was a good little soldier, but if he would have just kind of kept himself in check, he would have gone much, much, much further. He was his own worst enemy.
With Vader, and obviously we've talked about this in the past with him not maybe being world champion, he probably should have been. Did you ever get any complaints from the boys in the back about him being stiff or hurting anybody, or was that a part of it as well?
Nah, because they wouldn't come to me with that, bro. They would go to JR. I mean, that would be a talent relations issue, or it would be something that they handled on their own. They're not going to come to the writer with that.
So as far as scripts and writing and Raw and wrestling, let's just say Raw and a pay-per-view, how many pages typically is a script? Oh, you got one.
I could tell you right now, bro.
Oh, you got one. Okay.
This is a script for today.
Okay.
Keep in mind, bro, this is only an hour.
Oh,
This
wow.
this
Okay.
is an hour show. Okay, so I'm just going to count this one randomly. So it's 1.
I love that you have it. So Raw would be the same because Raw is an hour.
4,
Oh, well, if Raw is an hour, I mean.
5. Okay, this one's 6 pages. This one's 6 pages.
So 1 hour. So 2 hour Raw is 12 pages.
2-hour Raw, I would say 12 to 15 pages.
Wow. Okay.
For 2-hour
and
Raw.
And basically, that's
I promise you, it's not 12 to 15 pages today. I mean, I promise you, but to write a script out correctly, I'd say 12 to 15 pages for a 2-hour show.
Now, is that with the verbiage of the guy for the promos, or is it just says promo and then?
It depends, bro. It really depends. Some bullet points, some promos are all written out. It just really depends on what's needed for that script.
So, what's an average day for you as the writer? Like, what do you do? How does it start? Is it handing? You already wrote the script and you're handing it out. So, like, what's the average day? Or is it you're just writing all day and then you're collaborating?
No, bro. This show is written before we get there. It is done. It is ready to go. When we get there, it's distributed to the talent, not by me. And my whole day, bro, is making sure they understand what they're doing that night. If they have an in-ring, going over the in-ring with the parties, producing all the pre-tapes in the show. If there are any live shots, just be prepared for the live shots, finding the locations. Obviously, if there's any problems or somebody doesn't understand something, it's a nonstop day. I mean, it literally, bro, is the first thing you do after the production meeting is first thing you do is you got to go to catering because you're not going to get a chance to eat the whole entire day. And then, bro, I would say by the time you eat, figure it's 12-ish, bro, you never sit down literally till you go to your hotel room. I mean, that's how there's no time to even sit down. It is a non-stop day. I mean, bro, that I just showed you, man. We're shooting 5 shows, bro, like in one day. There are at least 40 pre-tapes that I'm going to have to shoot between 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. 40 pre-tapes, bro, in like 6 hours. It's
Wow.
it's nonstop. And again, this is if done the right way. I find it very hard to believe that it's the same work ethic today, but man, back then it was nonstop. And bro, you would schedule pre-tapes before you got to the building. You would schedule pre-tapes when the show was over. Nonstop, man.
Damn, that seems like just no time to breathe there.
No, there isn't. There is no time to breathe, man. No time. I mean, literally, you never sat down, like not even for a minute.
So, how much time did you typically spend at the WWE headquarters?
I mean, bro, when I wasn't on the road, I was in the office, 8 to 6, whatever. I mean, I was in the office all day when I wasn't, on the road. So I'd say a typical day would probably be 8 to 6.
So, how did the creative meetings work, and how long were they with Vince? Like, is that like an all day process too, or is that just?
Yeah, it's pretty much all day, bro. Ed Ferrara and I would get together at my house. We would lay out the entire show. Then the next day, we would go to Vince's house and we would lay out the entire show to Vince. Then the next day, based on Vince's notes and our discussion, that's when I would sit down in front of the computer and write, the entire show. So the entire show is probably written and done by Thursday night. And on Friday goes out to the key talent. I may be on the phone with an Austin or a Rock, but by the time we get to that building, that show is in stone.
What was Goldust's character? Like, what exactly is it? Is it an Oscar statue? Kind of like, what is the look of, like, what is Goldust?
I don't know, bro, because again, that's a Vince. And when Vince first introduced me to Goldust, it was like very, very, very vague. All Vince could really say was like old Hollywood. Goldust was like old Hollywood. Then, I instituted the film quotes with every promo. Then, he kind of, since he was so creepy and people couldn't really figure him out, that was where, he started playing on the homophobic fears of other people. And it started to become a little bit more of a psychological game. Because as I said, man, Vince's only direction was old Hollywood. Oh, like, so what does that mean, Vince? Like, what is he? And he couldn't tell you what old Hollywood meant. So I just had to start working with Dustin and just really get a feel for his strengths. And we just kind of took it from there.
What did you think of Goldust versus Triple H, the feud that actually happened in 1997? Did you like Goldust and Triple H feuding?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it vaguely, but I think I liked it. Yeah, I don't think there was an issue with it.
Do you think Goldust should have been world champ?
He could have been. I mean, there was a point when he had that much heat, he could have been. But since the character was so controversial, I don't think it would have been smart to make him the champion.
When you look at him, right, like the Goldust character and stuff, for me, Attitude Era, Rock and Austin, obviously, kind of like, and Vince, like kind of like by themselves. Okay, they're the big guys. Whenever I think of Attitude Era, I know some people go Val Venus, a Godfather, and they mention all these. I always think of Goldust. I feel like he's like the embodiment of the Attitude Era. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, bro, that character was way ahead of its time. And really, man, Dustin was such a great freaking performer, man. Just unbelievable. I don't know if anybody else would have been able to do that. But yeah, bro, that really was you could say he was a poster child for the Attitude Era. Absolutely.
What did you think of him when he started doing that bondage gimmick? Did you like that with all that weird attire that he'd be wearing, all that weird stuff?
That was him, bro. Like that was, he would just come up with all that crazy stuff. And bro, again, when the Goldust character was pulled out from underneath us, it was so difficult because nothing was going to top that, like nothing else he did was going to be better than the original Goldust. So it was just difficult, man.
Why did you put him and Luna together? Or did you really like them being put together? Did it seem to be like a natural fit or a natural connection that those two kind of like maniac characters would work together?
Freaky characters, bro, that complemented each other well. I think it just made sense to put the two of them together.
Sticking with Goldust here, the religious gimmick. Do you remember when he became religious? Where did that come from? Why did he become religious? Like, what was the whole point of that gimmick?
Bro, I was just looking for something, man. Bro, again, it's like, the situation when I started writing for Bill Goldberg. Bro, where do you go with the guy that had a winning streak of 150 matches? You're never going to top that, bro. You're not going to top that. So it is so difficult, bro, and you're so challenged because no matter what you do, you're never going to top that. And That's why Goldust was going through so many different phases trying to find the right thing, because he was never ever going to top that Goldust character, bro, no matter what the gimmick was.
The religious thing was just something to try, basically.
Just to try, man. Just try it, man. See what happens.
Was he always going to go back to the Goldust gimmick? Because obviously he says he's coming back. He's coming back. You think it's religious, but he's really talking about Goldust coming back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
was that always the plan? Was he always going to come back?
No, that wasn't always the plan. We just let enough time pass by to see if we could kind of sneak back into it again. But when we snuck back into it, it wasn't going to be as heavy as it was the first time. We would have never been able to get away with that.
Was that a lot of the USA Network? Were they upset with that character? Was he taking things too far?
I think, bro, I don't even think it was USA. I think it was sponsors and advertisers more than anything, man. I don't think it was the USA Network.
Man, interesting with the Vince doc. Got to see your old buddy on there, Bonnie Hammer from the USA Network.
I
right?
love
Yeah.
her. She was brilliant. She was so freaking smart, man.
Out of the Mick Foley characters, the three faces of Foley, which one did you like the most? Cactus Jack, Mankind, or Dude Love?
I probably liked Mankind the best when he was playing off of Vince McMahon. Bro, the original Mankind character, I hated. Bro, I hate characters I don't understand. I didn't understand Mankind. What is Mankind? I don't get it. I don't understand it. What is that? What does it mean? So I hated the original character. But when I started writing and it was Mr. McMahon and it was Sacco and it was Vince giving him a makeover and it was him playing Twister with Vince, that character was a lot of fun to mold and to write for. A lot of fun.
Vince, I have a special surprise. It's Yerple.
Yeah, exactly. That was so much fun. Or when Taker broke Vince's leg and they're carrying him out on the stretcher and Mick's trying to give him the Coke. Like, oh my God, man. Just so good, man.
So obviously this is 98 here. When Foley turns on Steve Austin, right, with that whole storyline, how come you had him as Dude Love instead of Cactus Jack in that heel turn?
Oh man, that's a good question, man. Probably because we were trying to get the Dude Love character over. And, I mean, he had been doing Cactus for years and years and years. So it was probably trying to get that new character over.
To me, to be honest, Cactus Jack seems like, I know he did WCW and he was paired with certain people, even Sullivan at some points, and like he could work with other people. To me, like a Cactus Jack character, he's so crazy, he'll do whatever. He doesn't seem like he could be controlled by Vince. Dude Love seems like, all right, he's nuts. He'll do all this stuff. But he seems like, all right, he's more reasonable. I know it's the
Yeah.
same guy, but
Yeah.
character-wise, he just seems like he could work with Vince. It just seemed like he'd be a more reasonable.
That's a great point. That's an absolutely great point, because that's what Vince was all about. He wanted people he could control. He wanted people, whether it was through money, whether it was through intelligence. He definitely wanted people he can control.
And if you remember that one, I think we talked about it a while ago, but that one time where Dude Love and Vince are doing that dance, where they're doing that, they're doing
and
that.
Austin is doing everything he can to keep a straight face, man.
That's so great because you could see he's smiling, and then he's like trying to give the evil eye, cut it out. Like, what are you doing?
That was great. One of my favorite things is when guys would try to pop each other like that, and the guy would have to fight it back. I'll never forget that. That was funny.
Was it Foley's wife, Colette? Wasn't she one of the dancers on one time when Mick was dancing?
She might have been, bro. She might have been. I don't remember. She might have been. She was beautiful. Colette was beautiful one.
Out of his league, as a lot of people would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of Too Cold Scorpio?
Bro, he came over from ECW. I don't know, man. He was, Scorpio was like wrestling first and character second. And it's really hard to write a character for somebody like that because their acting performance is not as good as their wrestling. So it's very difficult to create a character whose main strength is wrestling. It's very hard to do both. It is very hard to find a great wrestler and a great actor. It's very hard. One trait usually dominates the other. So it was just really hard to, put a gimmick on him that people could relate to and care about.
Did you like him as Flash Funk when he first came in? Did you like the funk? You are so funky.
Not really. Bro, there was a lot of things. I didn't like that. I hated Triple H, like Hunter Hearst Helm. Oh, I hate with all the girls. Like, I just, because a lot of them, again, bro, like we're talking about a lot of cartoon characters and we're headed towards 2000. That was the issue, man. There's so many cartoon characters and so many gimmicks. We got to reel this up a little bit.
So Flash Funk not going to work. I mean, obviously that's really more towards 96, but that kind of gimmick is not going to work.
No, I don't think so.
Why did it take Shawn Michaels and Undertaker so long to have matches? I mean, they were in the WWF forever together for a long time. They could have had a feud maybe in 1993, but what took them so long for Michaels and Undertaker to finally get together?
Well, I bet you this had a lot to do with it because Taker makes no bones about it. Like, he didn't like Shawn at the time. And I guarantee you, man, I guarantee you didn't want to work with him. I guarantee you for a long time he did not want to work with Shawn. Guaranteed.
When it was decided that Steve Austin would win the title, like obviously he's going to be WrestleMania 14, he's going to be the champion, he's going to beat Shawn Michaels. When do you actually decide, like, hey, we're going this direction, he's going to win the title?
When we just feel the momentum building to the point that it can't be stopped. Bro, there comes a time where you got to pay something off. I mean, you just have to pay it off. And the momentum was building. We got to pay this off. And of course, so, bro, you want to pay it off at the biggest show of the year. That's where you want to pay it off.
And obviously in JR's commentary, you hear it. And I'm sure it's from you and it's from Vince McMahon as well. The Austin era begins. I mean, that's right. It's going to be his era.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Was there ever concern about pushing him to the title and then that neck injury coming up again? Remember, he had that bad neck injury in 97. Was that ever a concern, or you don't even think about stuff like that?
I wasn't even thinking about stuff like that, bro, because see, that's the thing, man. It's like, this is what I don't understand with the WWE. Something changed drastically. Today, when somebody's hurt, they disappear off the show. Yeah. Like Rhea Ripley. Are we not going to see her again now for the next 3 months? Bro, back then, if you got hurt, all that meant was you couldn't wrestle. That's all it meant. You're going to be on the show. Nothing's going to change. We just can't book you in a match. Today, when they're hurt, they disappear. I don't understand that. And then when they come back, you got to start all over again. I don't understand that. So when Austin was hurt, like, hey, man, as long as he can appear on the show, he doesn't need to wrestle.
Yeah, that is weird. They're like writing Ripley off again. I guess she got hurt again. They like wrote her off, so she won't be.
I don't get it, bro. I don't know if that is their way of saving money. I don't know. I don't understand that, man.
Very confusing. Because obviously she's one of their hottest acts. But about Austin and staying on track, we hear about 1998. Was he the only choice to win the 1998 Royal Rumble?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be the Austin era. He's going to get a title shot. That's probably the only direction, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's all about It's all about momentum, bro. You got to keep building that momentum. That's why 50-50 booking sucks. Somebody wins, you build a momentum, they lose. They win, they lose. They win, they lose. Sucks.
Do you like it when wrestlers win the Royal Rumble more than once, like multiple times? Austin, obviously, 97, 98, 01, but 97, 98 back-to-back. Do you like that, winning it back-to-back and winning multiple Royal Rumbles?
That doesn't bother me, bro, because, again, storyline is going to drive that. Whatever the storyline is, that's what's going to drive the winner, so that doesn't bother me.
If Shawn Michaels couldn't have wrestled at WrestleMania 14, right, what would have been the main event? Would Triple H have replaced him? Like, who? What do you think would have been the main event?
I would think that Triple H would have made the most sense at that time. I mean, that's what I would have thought. So yeah, probably Triple H.
Now, this is supposed, and obviously Undertaker has mentioned a story. Some people and some others have mentioned a story, but Shawn Michaels didn't want to do business with Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. The Undertaker threatened him, taped up his fist before the match, and reminded him, "Hey, Shawn, you got to do the right thing." Undertaker said this is true. He's confirmed this, but did you ever hear about this? And did you ever see this?
I never heard about that, but if Taker said it, I'm not going to doubt that for a second. Why would he say that if it were not true? So no, I've never heard that before, but I don't doubt that for a second.
Could you just imagine though how much of a kind of a baby Michaels was at this point that
Oh,
Undertaker has to like sarcastically like
bro,
take
he
him his
was
fist,
such
do
a
business
dick,
tonight, do business
bro.
tonight. You know what I mean?
He was such a dick. He was literally, man, and he'll tell you this. He was like just this spoiled, rotten child. Like it was like, bro, we could not wait for WrestleMania to be over so he can go home. Like it was literally that bad. Like he had literally pushed everybody to the brink and like, bro, please go home already.
Wow. Not good for your champion to
No,
everybody hate you. Yeah.
no.
How was it working with Jim Ross on commentary for Shotgun Saturday Night? And what did you think about Shotgun Saturday
Oh,
Night?
I hated that, bro. Bro, think about this, man. You're busting your ass, bro. First of all, lived in Connecticut, okay? So you're busting your ass, bro. Like, as a matter of fact, I might have even still been at Long Island at the time. I don't remember. You're busting your ass all week long, bro. Then you got to get in a car and take an hour and a half, a 2-hour drive to the city at night, fighting traffic. By the time you're home, bro, it's like 3 in the freaking. Oh my! I hated that with a passion, bro. Hated it. Thank God that was short lived. How many was there, bro? There was only a couple, right?
No, not that many. Yeah, not as many as
Thank.
probably Vince wanted. I think he
Oh,
thought that was going to be some launch of something, but yeah, not as many as you
bro.
would think. Yep.
To work that was absolutely horrible, man. Absolutely horrible.
So King of the Ring 97, you have 8-man full tournament. King of the Ring 98 is only the semis. Sometimes, like when you're booking, how come some shows like you do like let's do a full tournament, some shows let's do half, even Survivor Series 98, obviously the full tournament. How come the booking, what's the decision on like, hey, let's do the full tournament on the show, let's not do the full tournament on the show?
I guess it just really comes down to how many important angles are there that you really need to pay off. You know what I mean, bro? I guess you have to balance that with the individual stories. And if there are no, really hot individual stories at that time, then just go with the full tournament.
So you had one of the matches was Mero and Jarrett. Both guys are heels. Any thought process as far as King of the Ring to having like two heels against each other, or it doesn't matter? Is it like
Oh,
just unpredictable? Anything could happen.
I love that, bro. I love like when there's tournaments and stuff like that. I so much prefer the babyface heel. That is the perfect time that you get to do that. John, I say this all the time, and this is what never happens, man. You got to once in a while, bro, maybe every 3 months, whatever it is, you got to throw a monkey wrench in the middle of what you're doing, because now that's going to open up so many new, scenarios and possibilities. And, that's why, man, if you have a chance to book a heel, baby, I love throwing in that monkey wrench to shake things up. You never, ever see that anymore, bro. Everything is played so safely today. Everything that's going to happen months before it happens. And I strongly suggest every 3 months, throw a freaking monkey wrench in there, man.
Makes sense.
I mean, bro, did you watch Raw this last week?
Yeah.
Here's a perfect example. Perfect example. Last week, the place popped when The werewolf guy and Braun Breaker came face to face, right? Remember that?
Yep.
Okay, bro. So this week, rather than have two guys, they had Jimmy and Jay fight off three heels. Okay, so right there, you kill the bloodline. Why are we having the Survivor Series if two guys can take three guys? Okay, you totally killed the heels. Totally killed the heels. Rather than having the three of them getting the best of Jay and Jimmy, then you have Braun Breaker hit the ring. And Braun's going after that Fatu guy. Now, all of a sudden, we clear the ring, and now Braun's looking at the Usos. That's a monkey wrench, bro. That is a monkey wrench. Now you've got so many new possibilities of things you can do. But no, what did they do? Two baby faces ran off three heels. So now you got absolutely zero heat on the heels.
That will change on SmackDown, by the way. Just spoiler that will change. But Shotgun Saturday Night, 127 episodes, 1997 to 1999. By the
Wow,
way,
that many?
Yeah, more than I thought. Yep.
Oh my God, bro. That sounds like a nightmare. 127. Wow.
Just a few questions left here. What did you think of the WWF Latino show, Super Astros?
God, bro, I don't remember much about that at all.
Didn't think you would.
Yeah.
How about Michael Hayes? Any sort of relationship? Did you not get along with him?
Bro, I wasn't I don't know, man. I thought Michael Hayes, bro, was so cool as a performer, man. I remember that one cage gimmick where he took his boot off and shit. He was so cool as a performer. I just wasn't I don't know, bro. Something just rubbed me the wrong way of working with Michael Hayes, man. I don't know if I just didn't trust him. If he was always, too eager to get over with the office. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe I felt he thought a little bit too highly of himself. I don't know what it was, bro. But once I started working with him, it just kind of.
And our buddy Sin Bodhi is not a big fan of Michael Hayes, by the way.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
Days, yeah.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, I mean, bro, he's one of those guys too. Like, and I know this leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but when Vince hired me back in 2002, he was one of those guys that absolutely buried me to Vince because it would have meant that he would have went from here to there, and I can't tolerate people like that, man. That, because somebody is better than you and because somebody is going to outwork you, you've got to pull out all the stops to bury them, to make sure they never even come near the place. I despise people like that.
One final question, believe it or not. We got through all the questions here. Did you think about The Rock defeating Mankind at the Rock Bottom pay-per-view in 98? It was his pay-per-view after all. Did you think about The Rock going over Mankind here?
No, probably not, bro, because we would have done that. If we were thinking about that, we would have done that. So
even though it's his pay-per-view name, it doesn't matter,
bro. I probably didn't even realize that. I honestly probably didn't even realize that. I said, that's the thing, man. Rikishi wants me to go down to Florida now so he could fight me, bro. My point is, bro. Bro, the story dictates everything. The story dictates who's going over. The story dictates who gets the belt. The story dictates who loses the belt. The story dictates everything. That's all I was saying, man. I wasn't taking anything at all away from Jey Uso. I was just trying to say, as a writer, the story dictates the title. That's it. That's all I was trying to say. And like in this case, even though it's rock bottom, the story's dictating who goes over.
All right, let's wrap this bad boy up and hit the plugs. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Vince, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, guys, remember, if you've never been a member of Patreon, you can get a free week. Just go of Russo's brand. Any tier you want, you get a free week. Just go to patreon.com/Russo TWC for 1 week. And I don't want to say any tier, bro, because there's higher up tiers where you get a lot of perks, but there's a bunch of tiers you can get for free. Patreon.com/Russo TWC.
All right. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, everybody out there. We will see you right back here next time for the next podcast. Have a good one, folks.